Hi there, I'm Lorraine Prokopiew and I'm going to be doing a back care workout today. We're going to be doing it in two parts. Part one is basically mat work, and then part two we're going to use the tower. So I've got the A8 Pro Reformer here, the Align Pilates A8 Pro Reformer, and it's fitted with a tower. And at the moment I have two purple springs on with the long loops, and then this is the roll down bar here, all set up with yellow springs. So we're not actually using the reformer part of this, we're using this as a bench, as our mat work for the first half of class, and then second half I'm working just into the half Cadillac, working the tower. Or of course this could work with a wall board or a springboard, or even if you have one, a fused ladder. So I'm going to start off, a lot of what I want to do is really, with this workout, is orientate the client, yourself, around your pelvis and your posture, and thinking about finding your deep tummy muscles, the deep core support of your pelvis and your torso. So first off, we're going to find our sit bones. So I'm sitting on the bench and I'm just going to shift my weight from cheek to cheek here, feeling my sit bones onto the bench. One piece of equipment I forgot to say was I'm going to use a band in the mat class. So if you haven't got that already, go on and find that. If you're ready to keep going, we're into the sit bones and you've got that lovely length up through the spine. And we're going to do a seated cat-cow. So I'm going to keep the hands against the side of the bench, roll the pelvis back, drawing my tummy muscles in. I'll allow the gaze to come down to the knees. And then I'm going to lift the chest up, look out on the horizon as I lift the chest and stick the bottom out. So it's a seated cat-cow. So you could also think of this as a slump as we come into the cat, and an overcorrect as you come into the cow. And you're just feeling the rocking backwards and forwards on your sit bones and feeling the movement through the spine, and just take this as far as you want to go. And with any of these exercises as we're working through, we're thinking back care. So feel comfortable, feel like you're working your back, feel like you're moving your back, but no symptoms or pain. We want to try and avoid any of those. All right, I've finished those cat-cows now. I'm going to sit nice and upright. I'm going to try a little bit of rotation. So taking the opposite knee to the opposite hand to the opposite knee, reach the other hand back. I'm reaching for the back of the bench and I'm just encouraging a twist here. And then return to the center and do the other side, opposite hand, opposite knee, reach to the back of the bench and encourage the twist. And of course, if you haven't got this sort of bench to work on, you could be sitting on a chair. Or if you're confident with the balance on the ball, you could sit on a large Swiss ball as well. It'll still work. Nice. I'm finished there with those ones. I'm going to take some side bends. Just going to place my left hand down onto the bench and tip up and pour tea out of my left ear and return. I'm just going to keep going on this side. I'm always bending this elbow to keep the shoulder away from the ear as I'm doing the side bend, keeping the sit bones down onto the bench as I work. And then I'm going to take it into the other side, so right hand down, up and over. And then try and get that sense of lifting up out of the pelvis and coming over into the side bend. It feels kind of more supported as you do that. So you're supporting the spine rather than just dropping down into that side bend. I'm going to go again to the left, but I'm going to sweep this arm up and over the ear and find that stretch. And then I'll come back through the center. I'm going to go straight into the other side, lifting up and over. I'm going to do 2 more rounds of this, so up and over, and I'm trying to root down through that right sit bone as the right hand reaches. Back, same onto the other side, up and over. And then I'm going to do this final one each side, and I'm going to hold just for a little bit longer. I'm almost pushing down through the hand that's on the bench, pushing the sit bone into the floor, into the bench, and then reaching the hand. Return, we do the other side, up and over, and again push down into the hand to lift the ribs out of the pelvis, pressing the sit bone into the bench, up and a release. Great, we're going to come down onto your back now. I'll just pop the band up here ready for me to pick up when needed. And then I'm going to lie down onto the back, and we're just into this easy crook lying position. So I've thought about where my sit bones are already, and I'm trying to line my heels up with my sit bones. I'm feeling nice and long through the spine. I'm just going to go straight into a pelvic tilt. So I'm rocking the pelvis backwards and then forwards. And I'm feeling the movement through the spine as I do that. I'm trying to roll back and squash the low back into the mat, and then roll forwards and arch the back off the mat. So like a cat-cow again, but again, we're just taking the movement as is comfortable for you. And then we're going to come back into a central position. So I'm just going to take a note here. I might just slide this up a little bit. I'm hoping that's going to help you see a bit better. So I'm feeling like the thighs are dropping into the sockets of the hips, and that's kind of holding my pelvis down into the neutral position. I'm feeling heavy into the sacrum. So the sacrum is the flat piece of bone right at the bottom of your spine, just before you get to the crack of your bottom. So that should feel nice and heavy on the mat. And I've got a little space. I can kind of slide my fingers. Now your space might be a little bit bigger, might be a bit smaller than mine. And that's okay, everybody's different. I put a bit of an imaginary blueberry into the space in the small of my back. And then I'm going to go back to that pelvic tilt again. But I really want to think about drawing my tummy muscles in. So if I bend my elbows here, I think we can see a bit better. So you don't need to do that, but I just want to have my hands out the way so you can see. So as you exhale, you're going to draw your tummy muscles in and try and allow your pelvis to roll back just a bit. We're just going to juice that blueberry, and then you're going to release your coccyx back towards the mat. Let's do that again. So exhale, coccyx round into your belly button as you squash the blueberry just a bit, and then drop the pelvis back to your neutral. It's super subtle, and I want you to do this to get the feeling of finding your pelvic floor muscles and your deep tummy muscles. So as I draw my coccyx to my pubic bone, I'm feeling pelvic floor. As I draw my pubic bone towards my belly button, I'm feeling like I'm pulling in a little bit here and flattening into the blueberry, and then release. And let's do a couple more of those. So exhale. And as I'm doing this, I'm really thinking deep tummy muscles. I'm thinking the breath. Exhale, you juice your blueberry. Inhale, you release into neutral. And I'm trying to relax my feet and relax my buttocks, because it's really tempting to just push with the feet. I'm going to make that one my last one. And then thinking about your pelvis here. Now we often talk about when you put the hands on the hips. So those sort of bony bits there, that's actually your anterior superior iliac spine. But that's too long to talk about in class. But we're going to keep the pelvic headlights onto the ceiling. So I'll call these your pelvic headlights. Keep those on the ceiling as we do a bent knee fall out. So you're going to inhale, allow one knee to come out to the side, and exhale, return to center. Let's do the other side. Inhale, allow the leg to go out. Exhale, return to center. Keep that coming. Just easy movement through the ball and socket joint of the hip as you're maintaining your neutral position through the pelvis. So the temptation here is as that knee drops out that the pelvis kind of rolls with it. So let's really resist that, and you're creating this low level stability through the pelvis while you're moving the ball and socket joint of the hip. So maybe you can feel a little bit of tummy muscle action going on, but it's not gripping, you're not holding on for dear life, there's just some easy control going on. I'm going to make that one my last one, and then I'm going to bring the leg up into a tabletop position. Good, and I'm going to reach the leg away, tightening up the quads, and then pull the leg back in. Now here what we're doing is we're preventing the back from arching off the blueberry, and you're really controlling through that leg as it reaches. I'm going to bring the leg back in, land back down. Let's go ahead, do the other side, tabletop. Zip up your tummy muscles to support the weight of the leg as it reaches away, bringing it back in again. And I'm trying to keep touching the blueberry as I work here, but I'm watching that I'm not squashing the blueberry as the knee comes back in again. I think that's our last one, and I'm going to land the foot back down and take a pause there. So we'll take this now into a bridge, and I'm just going to scoop my heels just a little closer into my bottom, and we're going to roll the pelvis back, drawing your tummy muscles in, and then I'm going to push through the feet and drive up into a bridge position, and then I'm going to melt the ribs down one vertebra at a time, hits the mat. This is a nice articulation movement through the spine, going from your neutral position, moving through the spine, and driving up into a bridge position. Quite often, especially if your back pain is a little bit fresh, shall we say? Sometimes, what I mean by that is it's quite an acute back pain. It's sort of come on. Sometimes it can be quite tricky to get that tail off the mat. So if that's the case, then just stay with your pelvic tilt. If you're feeling happy, sometimes it can take just a couple of rounds and you can get that movement going and it feels nice. So just stick with what feels good for you for your bridge. It's a nice exercise in that we're getting deep tummy muscles, pelvic floor, we're working strong through the glutes as we drive up into that hip extension, and we're getting that slow, controlled articulation all the way up and down through the spine. So it's a nice exercise, but if it's not working for you, stay with your pelvic tilt. I'm going to make this one my last one, rolling all the way back down again, and then releasing to the neutral position. And we're going to take a little hamstring stretch here. So I'm going to take the back of the thigh, head the leg towards a straight position, and actually we'll do a little can-can here. So I'm going to keep that thigh vertical by just supporting the back of the thigh and just bend and straighten the leg. So a little bit like you were doing a can-can. And then hold the leg straightish, and then we'll flex and point the foot. Ease your way into those, find the stretch. We're sort of heading towards a bit of a neural stretch here as well, so we're getting a nice mobilizer. But again, be gentle, you want to feel like you're stretching your muscles here and not getting too much of a zingy pins and needles stretch. Let's do the other side. So back of the thigh, holding, and then reach the foot to the sky and then release. So you might find your knee doesn't go all the way straight. That's absolutely fine. If it goes straight, that's great too. But what you do want to feel is a sense of stretch into the back of the thigh rather than, as I say, any zingy, neurally nastiness. All right, let's hold the leg straight or straightish is good. Flex and point the foot. And again, just kind of easing into that. Find your way. You want to build your confidence working your movement, not frighten yourself. All right, let's bring that leg back all the way down again. Good, and then we're going to bring the arms up in front of the chest. We're going to reach the arms overhead. I'm trying to slide my rib cage down into my front pockets. So I'm kind of holding my ribs down towards those pelvic headlights. Now there's still a space for the blueberry as you do this, and I'm challenging holding the torso in a straight position as I reach the arms overhead. Because often what wants to happen is we want to go a bit further, and so the rib cage will pop up. So we're trying to control that with those tummy muscles. All right, let's do one more like this. Exhale, the arms go overhead. Inhale, it comes back up again. Hold, one leg tabletop. We're going to put the leg reach and that arm reach together. So I'm going to reach the leg away, reach the arms away, and then bring everything back into the center. I'm going to keep going with that. So I'm challenging my pelvis with the leg reach. I'm challenging my rib cage with the arm reach. And I've got to hold that all together with the tummy muscles in the middle to keep stable as I work this. Bring it back into the center. I'm going to switch legs, and then we do the other side. So exhale, reach. Inhale, bring it back in again. And we'll do that again. Just feeling your tummy muscles connected. Now, remember the blueberry, it's still intact. No squashing or juicing going on at this point in time. Here's our last one. Bring it back into the center and land. I'm just gonna hug my arms across here, and then I'm gonna try and reach my elbows to the sky, and almost I'm pulling my shoulder blades apart just for a nice easy stretch there. Take the arms out wide, chest stretch, and then roll both knees over to one side. And again, this should feel nice, okay? So you don't want to feel any pulling or hurting your back. You're only taking that rotation as far as you feel happy going. I'm going to go one more each side. So it's just for that nice big stretch, as feels comfortable for you. Return center, bring the hands up, release them down, and then we're going to roll over on to your side. So take your time. Often if you are a little bit sore, it's what I remember from when I had some back pain not too long ago, it was the transitions between exercises which was the most sore bit. So just take your time as you work. All right, so my heels are lining up with my butt cheeks right here. I've got about a 45-degree angle at my hip, and then I'm going to do some clams. So we're trying to keep the pelvic headlights facing forwards as we're rotating through the hip. Stabilizing the torso, moving this leg. Good, I'm going to make a little change here, holding, lifting the feet, and then work your rotation here. You'll notice my position with my holding my head. You can absolutely do that, or you can drop down, or maybe you've got your arm out straight, whatever feels most comfortable for your neck, or you might even find using some blocks or a little pillow can help here. I'm going to make this one my last one. And then land everything back down. I'm going to go straight in and do the other side. So flipping over, lying onto the side. I'm just going to get my microphone pack out of the way, and then open and close the legs. So I'm trying to avoid rolling back as I lift the legs. So maybe that means the movement isn't so big for you. You're keeping your pelvic headlights square, and I'm trying to imagine I've got a bottle of water in the small of your back. Keep that there, so don't knock the water over, is what I want to say. And then release. We're going to bring the feet up and go from here. This sometimes feels nicer because we're going from a position of medial rotation at the hip to lateral rotation, so we can get a slightly bigger range of movement. There's a slightly different start position, but you're still same principle. We're trying to keep the pelvis neutral as we're working here. Nice, and then I'm going to land all of this down. Then I'm going to come around and lie on to the belly, and we're just going to make a pillow out of the hands and just rest here. Now again, you could perhaps have a block if you prefer, but I'm going to think about lining my heels up with my sit bones and try and be long. Try and watch that your heels aren't dropping out or dropping in. So just trying to get those lining up with your sit bones. Then we're going to work the tummy muscles again. So as you exhale, you're going to draw your tummy muscles in, trying to pull in through the waist a little bit, and then release back down again. As I exhale, drawing my tummy muscles in, I'm almost trying to hollow out the belly, and especially in that area between the belly button and the pubic bone. So that low belly area I'm trying to draw in. You may well see my waist drawing in as well. So you could think about that. You're trying to zip up your high-waisted jeans, drawing in, and then release. Good, so bringing the hands down by your shoulders here, elbows are by your waist. I'm just hovering my head off the mat. Check those heels are lining up with the sit bones again. I'm going to lift the upper back up, shining the breastbone light forwards, and then releasing back down. Now I'm trying to keep control through the lumbar spine, so draw those tummy muscles in again, grow through the crown of the head as you lift, and then release back down. I've got a couple more here. Wide the collarbones, lift and reach, and then lower back down. And we'll do one more. So keep the low back long. So if you feel like you're pinching in the lumbar spine, maybe don't lift up so high, keep it a little bit lower. Think about the length out through the spine rather than how high you're coming. Releasing down, we're going to take this into a dart. I'm going to bring the hands so the palms are facing the body and the thumbs are staying onto the mat here. I'm going to widen the collarbones and just lift the head and lift the shoulders, and then release back down. I'm keeping the movement quite small. Pubic bone connects into the mat as I reach and lengthen, and lower back down again. One more like this. And then I just want to think about working your back muscles just a little bit stronger. So draw the tummy muscles in, grow again through the crown of the head, and then just hover the hands off, land them back down again, and release. So we've got 4 movements. 1, we lift, 2, the hands lift, 3, the hands land, 4, we lower back down. I'm going to do one more like that. Reach, lengthen, lift, and lower back down. Again, we're going to go again, but we're going to lift the hands off as we come, reaching, and lower back down. Again, feel the back of the body working, but no pinching in the lumbar spine. I find if I really focus on finding the length through the crown of the head, the length through the arms, I avoid that pinching into the low back. Nice. That's my last one. I'm going to make a pillow out of my hands now, rest my forehead onto my hands. Now we're going to try a heel squeeze prone here. So we're going to separate the legs and then bend the knees and bring the heels together. So you make like a frog, and you've got Charlie Chaplin with the feet. And we're going to find that pubic bone pushing into the mat again, and then just squeeze your heels together, firing up your butt, and then release. Exhale, pubic bone pushes into the mat, gently squeeze your heels together. Go nice, slow, steady here. This is hamstring cramp territory here, so just take it gently as you're working. Now this might be enough for you. It's certainly a great one for drawing your tummy muscles in and finding the connection into your butt muscles. But if you want to work harder and feel happy with this, pubic bone pushes into the mat, try and lift your knees off and then release back down again. I'm trying to be as quiet as I can through the upper body. So what you'll sometimes see is people will want to sort of lift their body off as well at the same time as lifting the knees off. So you're trying to isolate the hip joint into that little bit of extension and try and keep still through the upper body. We're going to go one more. Pubic bone pushes into the mat, hover the knees off, or just squeeze your heels, you choose. Release, let those legs drop down, let the pelvis rock from side to side, and just take a breath. And then we'll take a press back into shell stretch. So coming up onto the hands and the knees, bottom reaches back towards the heels, and you're just kind of releasing off there, and we're just trying to feel relaxed through the back, stretching out a little bit there. And just taking this as far as your knees and your hips are happy to go. No need to do a super big fold. All right, so we're onto the hands and the knees now. We're going to take a cat-cow. So you're going to push down through the hands, draw your tummy muscles up and in. And then we're arching in the other direction as you shine your breastbone light forwards and lift your coccyx to the sky. So coccyx pulls round and into the belly button as we push down through the hands, tuck the tail, round back, and then into the other direction. So we'll keep going with this. Again, just taking it as far as you feel happy going. As you come into your cat, pause a moment and think about really gathering your tummy muscles up and in towards the body or towards the spine. And then when you go into your cow, you're thinking about controlling through the spine. So there's a sense of the pelvis and the rib cage at the front of the body. They're kind of moving away from each other, but you're not kind of sagging in the middle. So you're really controlled. Wide collarbones throughout. Let's do a couple more rounds here. Tail tucks, cat. Into your cow. I like to exhale as I cat. And then inhale to cow, but you can do this any way you like. And then I'm going to come back into the center. I'm going to release back into a shell stretch again. The other thing that might feel nice into your shell stretch is having the knees a bit wider and then dropping the bottom. It's kind of, like I say, it's just a release, so we're not worrying too much about what's happening in any particular posture there. It's just finding that release. So we're going to come into all fours. Now we're trying to stabilize through the spine as I'm going to work here. So I've got 4-point kneeling. So I've got 4 points on the floor. And then I'm going to go to a 3-point. So I'm just going to lift one hand off and then back down and then the other hand. Now with this, I want you to notice that as you shift from 4 points to 3, you're trying to keep your spine nice and still here. And I'm going to go one more on each side. And then I'm going to hold. Keep your pelvic headlight square to the floor. Reach one leg out behind you and then land it back down again. So again, we're going from those 4 points to 3 points. And you've got to just control, keep your spine straight and still. One more like this. And then I'm going to make a change. So I'm going to take the right leg behind me, hold, keep the pelvic headlight square to the floor, and I'm going to take the right leg to the right and then return and land that knee back down again. Just release it. I'm going to do it again. So right leg out, to the right, return and a land. We're going to do one more like that. Right leg reaches back, to the right, center and return. Let's do the other side. So left leg's going to reach back this time, take it to the left, return, center and release. So I'm just kind of sliding my foot on the floor here, on the bench, and I'm controlling through the spine. Now you'll notice, if you haven't noticed already, that as you take the leg to the side, there's a bit more challenge to control the balance there. Good. We'll release. I'm going to drop back into a shell stretch. I'm going to take a little side stretch this time, releasing, take my right hand over to the left, drop the bottom back to the heels, get a sense of reaching from the right hand to the right sit bone, feeling that stretch around the right shoulder. Release, we'll do the other side, left hand on top of right, bottom back towards the heels, feel the reach, left hand to left sit bone. Nice, and then release. Okay, we're going to pivot around and work with the band now. So I'm going to come around onto my back, bringing the band with me. And do you remember all that leg work? We're going to loop the band around the back of one thigh. I'm using my left right now. And then I'm going to hold that as a cradle, fixing the band into this left hand, and then fix the elbow to the floor. So feel the thigh dropping into the socket, pelvis is neutral, and I'm just going to reach away and control back in. Now the band has a tendency, you'll notice there, to slide down the leg a little bit. But what I want to do is support the weight of the leg with the band, so I'm not getting the gripping through the front of the thigh, but I'm still getting a sense of controlling through those tummy muscles. And then I'm going to hold there, keep the leg at 90 degrees and take the thigh away from the belly button and bring it back up. So stretching the band by taking it away from that fist and then controlling back up. I'm trying to keep this still in space and just bringing my focus into the abdominals, controlling through that pelvis. Nice, I'm going to rest there, do the other side. So looping that band, I'm doing my right leg now, fixing the elbow to the floor, to the mat, to the bench, reach away and then control back in again. Let's do a couple more of those. So the nice thing is with the band as well, I'm getting firing up my quads to straighten the knee, but the band is supporting the weight of the leg. I can have a think about controlling through those abdominals as I'm working. Last one here. Keep the leg tabletop. Take that thigh away from the belly button and then bring it back up again. So this whole knee stays bent at about 90 degrees as that thigh goes away, controlling through the abdominals. Nice. We'll do last two. And a one. And bringing that back up again. I'm going to switch and do the other leg again. And this time I'm going to give myself a bit more slack through the band, and so I've got this band around my left leg and I'm holding the band in my right hand. I'm going to straighten this other leg out and then I'm going to take a leg circle. So I'm circling this left thigh in its socket. I'm trying to keep my right fist still in space so that I get a bit of a stretch on the band, and then there's a bit of a recoil. I'm going to reverse my circle right now, keeping the pelvic headlights on the ceiling. So we're challenging the pelvis as we rotate the hip in its socket. There we go, I'm going to take a rest there. And then we'll switch and do the other leg. So right leg left hand fixes. I've got that little bit more slack. I've got that slightly across the line of the body, which helps to give you the support through the leg as you're working the circle. And then we're going to reverse. So as I say, we're stabilizing as best you can through the pelvis. So I'm trying to keep some weight down into my sacrum, but as the leg is circling, there is a little rocking happening, and just let that happen. But trying to keep your pelvis as still as you can, even with those rocks. Good. All right, I'm going to release that down. Now, we're going to double the band over. So we've got a nice strong band here. The band I'm using here is a blue one, and it's a strong band. So if you can, use your strongest band. Bring the legs, both legs are going to come up into tabletop, and I'm going to take that doubled over band behind my thighs, fixing the elbows to the mat again, and I'm going to try and just rest my thighs as best I can into the band. Okay, and then feel the thighs dropping into the sockets of the hips and see if you can find the space for the blueberry again. Now what we're going to do now is that pelvic tilt. So I'm going to draw my coccyx round into my belly button, and as I do that, my thighs come in towards me and the band recoils a little bit. And then I'm going to release the weight of the legs back into the band, and I feel that band stretch a little bit. Let's keep that going. Tummy muscles drawing in. Now what I like about this is I'm supporting the weight of the legs so we can get rid of that hip gripping that wants to happen at the front of the hips there. So I'm trying to relax my thighs as much as I can and use my tummy muscles to tilt my pelvis and squash that blueberry. And as I do that, I'm bringing the weight of my legs in towards me. My fists are trying to stay still in space. So I'm resting the thighs into the band. I draw my tummy muscles in, squash the blueberry, and the thighs come with it. It's quite a small movement, but if you can bring your focus into your abdominals, you're really working quite hard. And I'm going to do one more. Nice, and then nice and slowly control those legs back down again, releasing the band. Let's pop that band off to one side, and we'll pivot around and come into a sitting position, taking your time here. I'll take the band again. I'm going to do a little spine twist. So bring the band into that doubled over position. Set your sit bones. I'm just going to reach the band out in front. Imagine your breastbone light is shining into the center of your band. You're just going to twist to one side and then return to center, and then twist to the other side. Return to center. We're going to just do one more each side, twisting and a center, and the other side, and a center, and release. And well done. So I'm going to move on to the tower section next. So if you're done with your mats and you don't have the springs and you don't want to play with those, then you can take a pause then. So for those of you that are interested in what I'm wearing today, I'm actually top to toe Tavi Noir. So I have a vest top here that has an open back, I think, in it, and it's in a colour called Lake. And then my tights have a little snake print on, and they are in garnet. And then my grip socks are Tavi Noir as well, and they're sort of like a grey colour. So moving on then, we're going to do some of those similar exercises with the leg springs in a moment. But we've warmed up with all of those we've just done really nicely using the band. So I'm going to pop the band off to one side, just going to pivot around and pop this away, just to keep it nice and tidy. And we're going to come into kneeling and take the roll down bar. So we're thinking about a nice straight spine. I'm going to come a little closer. I don't want quite so much spring there. So as I said before, we've got the yellow springs on to the roll down bar. Nice and upright through the spine, straight back. And I'm just going to press the bar down towards my thighs, and then I'm going to control back up again. So just explore this first. You're finding nice open collarbones as you press the bar down towards your thighs. You're feeling length through the spine. Now, the more I push, the more I've got to stabilize with my tummy muscles. I feel my glutes firing up as well here. So drawing in through the spine, finding that length and controlling the release. I'm going to go one more here, pressing and controlling the release. I'm going to take this into the thigh stretch now, so I want a bit more resistance, so I'm just going to scoot back away from the uprights a little bit more. So the thigh stretch is more, generally is about the eccentric control through the quadriceps. I couldn't think of the word then. And then we return back up again. So what I want to think about here though is slightly more about just holding into your tummy muscles. So you have to do that to control back and keep that nice straight line from your knees to your shoulders. And again, I'm finding a nice bit of glute work. I would just a little reminder here, I'm looking at the crossbar of the push through bar here just to keep my gaze forwards. Otherwise, if you kind of let the head tip back, you sort of feel a bit like it's in the middle of nowhere and it feels a bit horrible. So I keep looking forward so that my chin will just tuck in the tiniest little bit as I tip back. I'm going to make this a bit more about the tummy muscles. I'm going to push back and just hold, not go too far into that, and then press the bar down, finding the tummy muscles as I do, and then control back up again. So keep the stabilization through the spine, work your tummy muscles a bit harder, ramping it up more as you push down. Let the springs recoil to return. Let's do a couple more of those. Pushing down. Controlling to lift, and we'll take one more, tipping back, pushing down and controlling to lift. I'm going to hold here and just work the back of the body a little bit more. Take the hands wide onto the outside here, as wide as you can on your roll down bar, and I'm just going to take a little row. So I'm trying to keep upright through the spine. I can feel the back of my body firing up, especially my glutes, and my feet kind of want to lift here. So feeling the hamstrings working, but without letting those knees deepen into the bend. And I'm going to add the tip back. So tipping straight back from your knees, I'm going to take a little row and then return and return to the upright. So tip, row, return and come back up. Only take this back as far as you're happy with your knees. You want to feel like it's stretching your quads. You've got to feel that work through the quads, not compression into the knee joints. So if you're feeling that, don't take it back so far, or just stay upright through the spine as you're working. I'm going one more. Tip, row, feeling the back of the body working, return, and then come all the way back up. So we're not, the torso, the control is also at the front and back, so we want to get that whole cylinder working when we're thinking about back care. So I'm going to release that bar down, and then I'm going to come into a sitting position, and we're going to work the leg springs. Now I'm going to take the loops off the end here, and then I'm going to bring these loops around the thighs. They're just sort of sitting just above, sitting just above the knees. Let's try the other one, here we go. Got it. All right, and then I'm going to lie down on the back. Great. And what I'm going to do here is attach my springs then to those straps. Now you could, of course, just put your feet in and then thread the strap all the way down and through, but sometimes that can be a little bit of a challenge and a bit tricky to get your leg on. And certainly if I'm working with a client, I will tend to work this way, getting the straps on first and then attach them to the springs. So I'm going straight for both springs on. Now you could go one at a time if you prefer, and then I'm going to bring that leg to tabletop. So of course the beauty of the spring here is I'm doing that same exercise that I did, but I was holding the band before. But the beauty of the spring is I haven't got to hold it. The tower is doing that for me. I'm working the quads against the spring, but the spring is also supporting the weight of my leg so that I can get the sense of connection through the abdominals. I'm going to land that leg going straight into the other side. Exhale as I reach away, and then controlling back in again. I love the feeling as the knee comes back in, the thigh sort of drops into the socket, holding that pelvis neutral, space for the blueberry, staying there all the time. Come to tabletop, see if you can float the other leg up, and again pause. Feel the neutral pelvis, feel the control through those abdominals. We're going to do a single leg reach, pull back in, other side, pull back in. You can go super slow, or you can pick up the pace if you like. I'm going to take that now. So this is really nice because I'm feeling the work and control through the abdominals without feeling too stressy through the front of the hips. So it's that pinching, gripping feeling that you can get sometimes. And then I'm going to land my feet back down onto the mat. I'm going to try and keep them glued to the mat as I do a bridge. Roll up into the bridge position, reach the knees away, strong with those springs, and roll back down. So I'm just kind of keeping them there as I'm doing my bridge. I'm going to just do two more, feeling the roll through the spine, driving up, reaching the knees away, and then rolling back down again. This almost feels like harder work to keep my feet on the floor. And then rolling back down again. I'm going to bring those legs back into a tabletop position, keeping the knees bent at 90 degrees. I'm going to do a scissor. So we're just tapping the toe down and bringing it back up again. Same thing, I'm trying to stabilize through the pelvis as I'm doing this reciprocal action through the legs. Want to work a little harder? You can work with the leg straighter. Again, just really bringing your focus into your center to keep that still as those legs scissor past each other. Finishing off there, legs to tabletop position again. Now I'm going to bring my knees together, try and hold them together as I take my thighs away from the belly button again and bring it back up. So this whole lot is going out as one unit. Really zipping up. Keep touching the blueberries. Good. As I'm working. And then we'll just pause there. Then we're going to reach the legs straight, and then same thing, we're going to push down and control up. As the legs reach away, I'm thinking about zipping up from my pubic bone towards my belly button. I'm trying to make sure I keep the space for the blueberry. If anything, you want to squash it a little bit here, but just keep under control. So you definitely don't want to make the space for the blueberry any bigger, especially as the legs reach away. There's that control through the tummy muscles. Reaching back up. I'm going to go one more. Bring it back in, legs back to your tabletop position, a little bit of separation here. I'm going to bring the arms up, and when I'm working outside of the springs here, and then I'm going to reach one leg as the arms go overhead and bring it back, and then I'm going to do the other leg. So it's very similar to what we did in the mat, but I've got the support of the springs here, and I'm trying to control the rib cage as my arms reach overhead, that pelvis as the leg reaches away. One more each side like this. And then I'm going to do both legs, both arms. This is like your double leg stretch in mat work, but I'm going to keep my head down on the floor, and I really want to control. You could of course lift the head and shoulders up if you wanted into a fuller version of this exercise. I'm going to take this one more time. Then I'm going to come in. Now I can just about reach my roll down bar. So this is a little added extra if you want to take it. So now I've got reaching up between those leg springs, and I'm holding the roll down bar. The legs are going to stay tabletop, and I'm just going to press the bar towards my knees. Now I've got to work my tummy muscles to do that, and then I'm releasing. So I've got to have a fairly narrow grip, obviously, because I don't want to get too caught up in those springs. I'm going to do that one more time like that. Press and release. Here comes a change. I'm going to press, hold onto my tummy muscles. As I release the roll down bar, I'm going to stretch away, and I'm going to keep working here. So you've got to check your heights here are going to work with your springs. So controlling through the pelvis, firing up the tummy muscles. I can really feel where the tummy muscles attach to the ribs as I press in. So everything comes away and then everything comes in. Last one, everything away, everything in. That's a whole new version of a double leg stretch there. I'm going to release that bar up and then releasing the legs back down again. Now, so let's take those clips off here. Take a little break. And then we're just going to do a one leg circle with the strap onto the other leg here. So I've got the left leg into a tabletop and the strap, the spring is attached onto the right upright. So it's coming across my body. I'm going to straighten this leg out and I'm just going to work a one leg circle here, keeping the pelvis nice and still as I'm getting that circle going. I'm going to reverse that. So as I've mentioned before, as you're circling the leg, you might feel the sacrum rock a little bit. That's absolutely fine, but thinking about keeping your pelvic headlights pretty much facing the ceiling there. I'm going to release, unclip that one, clip the other one on. So opposite spring to the opposite leg. Other leg comes out straight, pelvic headlights to the ceiling. And away we go with the leg circles. I'm just going to see if I can stop that clanging. There we go. Last one in this direction and then we reverse. So you'll notice there I just put my hands on my pelvic headlights. I'm just checking they're staying nice and still. So feel free to join me with that one. And then releasing. Good. And then I'm going to unclip that strap. Nice, and then I'm going to pivot around and come up into sitting. I'm going to take these straps off. Right now I'm going to just pop them off at the end of the mat and I'll pop those away properly later. But I'm going to just do one more exercise with the roll down bar here. So I'm going to come down onto my back and we're going to, again, it's working the legs, controlling through the pelvis. I'm going to grab hold of the roll down bar. I want to hook my legs over the roll down bar. So getting into this position, you can see, is quite tough. Or it could be quite tough if your back is feeling sore. So if you're comfortable to do that, then go with it. If not, maybe you can get an assistant to help you, or we can just leave this exercise out altogether. So we're just going to hold your tummy muscles in as you tap the toes down and control and bring back up again. So maybe if this getting into this exercise itself is not working for you, you could grab that band back again, double it over, have it back around the thighs and do the same sort of thing. So this, I'm taking the thighs away from the belly button, controlling, and then bringing the roll down bar back up again. I'm going to do one more here, bring it back up and hold. Now, keep your knees bent and over the roll down bar. Pelvis is neutral right now, but I'm going to roll the pelvis back, squash the blueberry. The springs are assisting me, and then I'm releasing back. And I'm going to do that again. Coccyx round into the belly button, squash the blueberry, and then release. So the springs are now almost bringing my thighs in towards me, but I'm trying to control it right from my tummy muscles. So don't ride the springs. You're in charge of the springs, not them in charge of you. Release. I'm going to give that one more. Roll the pelvis back. Release. Now could we try and put those two together? So keep the pelvis neutral, tap the toes down, bring the legs back to a vertical position and then roll the pelvis back, pulling your tummy muscles in. Return to vertical, tap the toes down, keep touching the blueberry. Return to vertical. Now squash your blueberry by drawing your tummy muscles in. Return to vertical thighs, tap, return, tail tuck, squashing the blueberry. Return, we do one more round. Tap, neutral pelvis, vertical thighs, pelvic tilt, assisted with the springs, and a return. All right, I'm going to come out there now. I'm going to place my hand in the middle of the roll down bar and come on off. So that sort of deep roll is kind of tough if you've got a sore back. So do be careful with that. And as I say, you could try working with the resistance band instead, very similar to what we did towards the end of our mat work section. Alrighty, let's finish off with just a seated side bend because that's such a nice stretch. We're going to bring this left arm up and over. I'm holding down that left sit bone, reaching for the stretch. Return, we're going to do the other side, bringing this arm up, holding that right sit bone down, reaching for the stretch. Release, come all the way up into standing and feel nice and tall and connected to your center as you feel that length through the body. So just quick recap on the spring setup that I've got here. So this is an aligned Pilates tower, and with the leg springs I was using the long purple springs, and the roll down bar I have the short yellow springs because I wanted the lighter resistance, and I'm clipped on maybe a little lower than you might necessarily choose to have. So I've got them onto this notch here as opposed to the top notch up there. So everybody's springs are slightly different, but as I say, this is how I've got set up with this aligned tower.